pay back at the rate we was before, 39.8% federal taxes, and in fact you pay your capital gains at that rate, then guess what? It frees up billions and billions of dollars to be able to do the things that affect middle-class lives, like being able to get your kid to school, like being able to make sure that you're in a position that you can take care of your health care bills. Make sure you're in a position where you can do things that affect the daily quality of life you have, which you can't do now. Make sure we deal with things like global warming, which is of a gigantic impact on everybody. And so, first of all, you change the tax structure, number one. Number two, you make sure that in addition to changing the tax structure, you don't have to punish anybody. If you're making $10 billion a year or $10 million a year, why shouldn't you be paying at 39% when a lot of people making a lot less are paying at 28%? What's the problem with that? It used to be that way, and we got that done. But the other thing is, we have to make sure that you start making sure that companies, and I come from, as I said, the corporate state of America, companies start to reward their employees in a way that is consistent with what they do. You know what companies did? All this time, corporations are making more money than the Lord Almighty is these days. And they have been for, that's a good thing on paper, right? Not bad. But guess what? What have they done? Instead of reinvesting in employees or expanding plant and equipment, what have they done? They have gone out and they've made sure that they bought back $1 trillion worth of their own stock. Why do they buy back their own stock? If we all have one share of stock and there's 400 people in this room, we got 400 shares of stock. If as a CEO, I make sure we buy back from you 200 of those shares, the remaining 200 stockholders they increase the value of that stock by somewhere between 50 and 100%. But guess how I get paid? I get paid because I get to take stock options as a CEO. 85% of my salary is based upon those options, not direct salary. And so there's an overwhelming incentive the way we have it set up to deal with not reinvesting in your employees, not reinvesting in product and equipment that create and generate growth. And so let's take a look at infrastructure. When you want to bring some new, and one of the things I did as vice president at the president's direction, we did a lot of work with when you had a governor who was engaging us, like Maggie and others. What we did, we brought in a lot of help to help you move in the direction of having high-tech industries come into the state. But what do people want to know when they want to come in and invest in your city or your town? Where's the nearest railhead? What's my access to interstate highway? Is there sufficient water? What am I doing? Is there sewer available? And so on. But we have a 20th century infrastructure. We rank something like 8th or 9th in the world in terms of transportation infrastructure. We need to invest so much more money in making sure that we're in the ability to attract people, our ports, our airports, etc. But we're not making that investment. And therefore, we're not attracting the kind of business nationally and internationally we should. So there's a lot we can do to make sure that people's salaries are considered, not by mandating it, just by making sure that instead of the corporate tax rate now, you know what it is? It's gone down from 38%, which Barack and I wanted to come down, to 21%. We got a whole lot of them paying zero. Like Amazon, zero. I think it should be raised back up to 28%, not to 38, 28%. We remain competitive internationally, and we should not reward companies for going abroad. They should be here. We should be buying things that the federal government is the biggest purchaser of all, that made in America. It means American jobs. It means Americans, and we should not be signing trade deals that don't have labor and environmentalists at the table so that we know we're getting a fair deal. So there's a lot of practical things we're able to do to generate greater economic growth internally and greater job growth in America that relates to income. And by the way, some of you are not going to like this. The minimum wage should be $15 an hour. It shouldn't be Everybody should be working 40 hours a week and living in poverty in America. Period. Anyway, there's more to say in that one too, but